Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to talk about something that is a little bit different on this channel, and I'm talking about KURTZPEL, which is some sort of MMORPG. Of course, I'm using the term MMORPG very lightly here, but it is some sort of online anime dungeon crawler game, and for some reason I really like it. Probably because it's from KOG game, or like I like to call them KOG games, King of Games, I believe that's the name. And they have made a game called Sword, which I have played for like 6 years, and I really love that game, but I had to quit because things started to go a little bit downhill with the characters that they have added and the balances, and things were getting a bit, it was becoming a disaster a little bit, if you want my opinion. But anyways, before I say anything about KURTZPEL, I just want to point out that this game is currently in some sort of closed beta phase, and in order to access it you need to register on the main site, on the main website of course. From there you will get a beta key that it will give you through the mail. Then you have to follow some instructions that they will give you in the mail in order to launch the game from there. So when it comes to the game itself, to be honest, I didn't think I would be too interested in it, because when I saw it a few months ago I thought it looked a little bit too, I don't know, generic. But I forgot that these games can be very addictive very easily, because it is set up in a very unique way, I would say. Not necessarily unique, but unique for the dungeon crawler genre, right? So in a game like Dungeon Fighters Online, for example, you would have like your character, you go in cities and you talk to NPCs here and there, and they will send you out into missions, and then to these missions you have to go into dungeons that are generally split into small instances, and you have to kill a bunch of little mobs until you find the boss, right? So that's how it works in dungeon crawlers in general. Now in this game it is not the case. The first thing that you'll notice is that you have a main hub in this game. Instead of having cities, you will have a main hub with only one NPC, which is a little bit odd. I would say it's very strange the way things are in this game, and I thought at first that I wouldn't like it very much, but as I kept playing I started to understand a few things, and some things that the developer wanted to do was probably make the game very expeditive, because this is essentially a PvP focused game. So I guess they didn't want to waste time with dungeons, they didn't want to waste time designing a bunch of useless enemies that brought pretty much no value to the game, and instead made it tedious. And that's a little bit of a problem with games like Dungeon Fighter that I personally have, and I think I prefer the game design of these games. So the way it works when you go into missions is not that you have to go through a dungeon. Instead of going through a dungeon, you have to fight a boss directly. There is no sort of transitions. You just go in a mission. You have, since it's a story mission, you have a cinematic first, and then you have the boss fight immediately. And boss fights are pretty well done, I would say. So the reason why is because they have somewhat designed the boss around the way you fight, and the combat system in this game is pretty nice. And they did something that I didn't expect, which was actually using a stamina gauge. So I don't want to say that it's a Souls-like game, because it is not a Souls-like game. No, it's just that the stamina gauge gives you some sort of interesting limitations and doesn't make the game very brain dead like I was expecting it to be. I thought this game was going to be absolutely brain dead, pretty much like Closers Online or games like that, where you just have to just press a bunch of keys. You don't even know what you're doing exactly. But I mean, I'm saying that lightly, but I know what I'm doing in games like that, but you know what I'm trying to say. You have to really look out for your stamina in this game, and stamina will deplete essentially when you will be sprinting, rolling, or attacking. So if you are using your basic attack, your stamina will deplete. If you roll, if you dodge, your stamina will deplete as well. But for some reason it doesn't deplete when you jump. I don't know if that is intended or it's a bug, but for what it is, I think it's kind of fair, or it's kind of fair in a certain way. There is also something interesting that the game has, which is some sort of weapon switch mechanic. It works a little bit like Black Desert Online with the awakening that you have. You can equip pretty much any weapon on any character if you want, which is cool because you are not limited by a class. So each weapon has their own stat and they are classified in different types. For example, the great sword that I am currently using is more of a defense type weapon. It's more of a tanky weapon. And if I use something like a bow or a staff, these weapons are more DPS weapons. But something that I have learned is also that it is not good to have two weapons that have the same type. You need different things depending on what your teammate will be playing. So I will probably try to learn how to use the bow next, because currently I didn't mention that, but there are 4 types of weapons. You have the great sword, you have the bow, you have the staff, and you have combat gauntlets, if I can say that like that. You have 4 types of weapon, and the great sword and the gauntlets are defense type, while the bow and the staff are DPS type weapons. So all of that is really cool. I really like that, especially the weapon swapping mechanic. And you can swap through your combos, so it allows you to extend your combos to some things that can be really, really cool. So aside of that, you also have things that are very interesting, like the character creation as well. Well, I say interesting, but it's not necessarily the greatest character creation ever in video games, but they give you some interesting options. For example, you can change the height of your character with a slider, actually. In fact, a lot of things can be changed with sliders in this game. So you can change your height with a slider. You can be a very tall character, a very short character, and you can also change the proportions of your character. So if you're a smaller character, you can be more like a child or a kid if you want. And you can be a very muscular kid, which is something that I think is always funny to look at, because I like, animes like 7 Deadly Sins, things like that. It's pretty funny to see. So I decided to do that. Also, something that is pretty nice with the character creation is that male characters share a lot of things with female characters, especially hairstyles. So that is very cool as well, because something that I tried to do at first was to make a very tall, muscular male character with the 2 twin tails that you can have with female characters. I thought that would have been funny, but I just went with what I like. So I made a kid character with that is a little bit muscly, right? Because I like to, I don't know why, I like tiny characters that can kick some ass. I think it's pretty cool. So the character creation, like I said, it's not necessarily the greatest thing, but they give you some options that are very cool. But for some reason, I don't know what it was, probably a bug since the game is just in closed beta right now. The very first time that you start creating your character, you do not have a bunch of options. You have a very short range of options for everything, for your hairstyle, for your eyes, faces, all that stuff. You have a very limited amount of option until you get into the game. You go into the main hub and you go back in your character select list, and you will see an option that says rebirth. If you use the rebirth option, what will happen is that you will be able to recreate your character, change your gender, change the orientation, like, I don't know, the backstory of the character a little bit. You can change things like that, which is very cool. But at the moment you do it, you get a lot more options than you had when you were creating your character the first time. So you can change your character pretty much anytime. I don't know if it's because the closed beta, or I don't know if it will be something that will stay in the full game. Hopefully it will stay the same, because that is pretty cool to be able to change whenever you want, without limitations. Of course, if there is something that they have to do, that I see that they will do, in fact, in order to get that money out of us, it would probably be put a limit on the rebirth system, the rebirth option, and we would probably have to, you know, pay a ticket or something like that with real money, which would be, it would suck, but that's how it would be. And still, I really hope they don't do that. But yeah, anyways, the character creation, like I said, pretty cool stuff. You can see actually some really cool character that people have made, but for some reason a lot of people still they go a lot with, you know, their anime waifus that they want to make. I've even encountered Sasuke in this game. That was really it was really funny. It's really nice. I like it because most of the things last for like 5 minutes. You go for a boss fight, it's just 5 minutes. You go for PvP, it's just 5 minutes. It doesn't last very long. Everything is so expeditive and so addictive at the same time. I really love it. So that is pretty much all I can say about this game. I'll have to play a little bit more in order to find out more stuff. There's also a training area where you can do all what you want. You can try new combos. Combos are really cool in this game. I didn't even talk about that, but you know, the combos in this game, they are very cool. You can chain all sorts of stuff, but you also have to look out for your stamina, of course. And being a game made by the people who made El Sword, you can see some really cool reference to El Sword, which are really nice. I really like it. And yeah, so that's pretty much what it is for KURTZPEL. Really like this game. So far I really like it. It might be a game that I play a lot, like on my free time, not necessarily for this channel, but I just wanted to, you know, show what it was. If people were interested in this type of game, it's going to be a free-to-play game, I believe, and it's supposed to come out this year. Not really late this year, but it's supposed to come out like in mid-2019, I believe. I don't know. We'll see. So anyways, that is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.